might as well get that beast out of the way. Even the rats! Starfield released the creator market.
Oh, yeah.
You thought you were going to have more time off, didn't you, Craig? It was not one of those gaps. No, and we'll talk all about that. But hello, everybody, and welcome to the Retro Rents. It is our 96th episode, and 96. I am Al.
I'm Nick.
Yes, number 96. We are crawling towards 100. So, yes, I'm sure many of you are wondering where the hell we've been. So, we might as well get that beast out of the way. Approximately, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, maybe a little more. It was pretty much right after we recorded. I woke up in the morning with excruciating pain in my right knee. Had no idea what I did. Couldn't think of anything that might have messed it up. And it was to the point where, like, I could barely bend it. Like, I had to keep my leg out straight. And I, stayed off it for a day, and it still hurt. And then I ended up going to my daughter's chorus concert, and I think that's pushed whatever it was over the edge. And so basically I was couch bound for the next 3 days. Just like I said, I could barely bend my knee. And it felt like almost bone on bone, or just,
Ooh.
It was excruciating. I have no idea, what happened. But by that Saturday, and this started, I think, on a Tuesday, that Saturday, my wife was like, you really should go to the ER. Like, this doesn't seem to be getting any better. And my knee was really swollen and, like, hot to the touch. And I'm, internet sleuthing, and it could be this or that. So I go to the ER. And in one of the bigger shocks in my life, I think I was in and out of there in less than an hour.
Wow.
I'm not kidding.
Was
dude.
no one in there that day?
It must not have been that busy, because I walked in, checked in at the desk, and I was like, oh, do I have I'm just going to stand, because, like, I can't sit. It's really uncomfortable. She's like, oh, that's fine. I said, can I go use, where's the restroom? She goes, oh, it's down there, but they're probably going to call you back pretty soon. I was like, yeah, sure. Walk down, open the bathroom door. Alan? Fuck. Turn around. And, off. And they basically, they checked things over. They asked what I was there for, explained what was going on. And they immediately brought me back for x-rays. And then, I was just basically in a gurney in the hallway waiting for the doctor. And so the physician's assistant comes by, and he's asking me some questions, and he's like, can you bend your knee? And I said, no, not really. Like, I can show you where I'm going to stop, because it fucking hurts. And so I went through the, questions and answers, and they said, well, your x-rays aren't showing anything. And it's like, oh, fucking awesome. Great. And they said, well, we think you might have a meniscus tear, and you need to follow up with orthopedics.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, well, that's great. But at least I had a path forward. So call my wife back. She had literally gotten home for like 10 minutes, and I was like, I'm ready. Come get me. It was like, it was my driving leg. So it was like, I couldn't drive.
Yeah.
And so she gets me home. I call orthopedics. It was on the weekend. So I called them that Monday, and I had to wait 2 weeks for an appointment. So between that appointment and that day, I was basically, like, crashing on my couch, working from my couch. Like, I had my laptop, was working on the couch, had the Steam Deck charged. It was actually, all things considered, it wasn't that bad of a few days. But, so yeah, couch bound, kept it out straight. They gave me an immobilizer, and I kept it, immobilized as much as I could. And as it started getting closer and closer to the orthopedist, my knee starts feeling better and better.
Of course.
I start getting more and more range of motion back in it. By the time of the orthopedist appointment, I was actually able to drive myself. Still hurt a little bit, but I wasn't sure if that was just a mix of it being really stiff from being immobilized, for a couple weeks or whatever. Like it was still pretty tender. Talked to them. They put me through like all kinds of range of motion tests, like crack my legs sideways, all kinds of shit. Like, wow, fellas, I charge for this. But yeah, they were whacking me around a bit on the leg, and they said, yeah, a meniscus tear is possible. It could also be bursitis, which was what I thought it was at first. And they said, or it could be gout. And I was like, what? No fucking way. I called my dad and my uncle, and I was giving them the rundown. And my uncle's like, oh, I had gout. He's like, and it's the most excruciating fucking thing I ever went through. And he's been through some shit. So it was like, okay, maybe it was that. And I asked the doctor, I'm like, well, if it is that, what do I do? Well, there's things you should avoid, like shellfish. I'm like, they can pry that out of my cold, dead fingers. I'll put another 2 weeks on the calendar.
Shrimp.
Fuck it. Bring down the swelling knee. I'm back to that. But yeah, so I didn't really get any definitive answer, but it's pretty much, I'd say like I'm 95% back to normal. Like I can sit with a proper posture and bent legs. Like I can't tell you how good that feels on my back. Like when I first
I'm sure,
did it,
yeah.
and I was like, holy shit, I don't have to keep my leg out straight. Holy shit, I'm sitting properly, and this feels like the greatest feeling in the world. And yeah, so fast forward to today, and I'm like building up strength in my leg, steady, but slow and steady. I'm able to like go upstairs with both legs now, and like I can put some good weight on it. So I'm just taking care, but yeah, like there was no way I could have recorded, at least not comfortably, and sitting at my desk until about, I want to say a week ago, was still really like distracting. Like I had to work from the couch most of the time, but now I'm back, and that's me at 42 years old, and I got more exciting things to come in the next, handful of years, I'm sure. Nice intro to old age, Al.
Right? You've got your new DLC for growing old.
Son of a bitch. Achievement unlocked. Oh, Jesus. But yeah, so that's been me. How's life been for you?
Doing all right. Trying to eat healthier, walk more, so getting out more. And so, yeah, started to lose weight again.
Good for you, man.
Good. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I've been on a bit of a healthier kick. I threw that out the window tonight, though. My wife brought home a box.
You have to have a cheat night occasionally. You can't go like bread and water all the time.
You really can't, especially when your wife walks in with the boxes of Cinnabons for you and the kids.
Oh.
I know, and I was just like, I just posted earlier before we got ready to record. I'm like, until you have scalded the shit out of the inside of your mouth with a freshly microwaved Cinnabon, you just haven't lived. But yeah, so that's good to hear, man. I saw some pictures. I think you were gonna get into that, but you went to some dry dock thing. It looked cool as hell.
Oh yeah. Didn't we talk about that last time?
Did we?
I think we did.
We probably did. I thought you went to another one recently.
No, it's the same one, but or it was. I probably threw up my 360.
That's what it was.
Footage. That's probably what it was. Yeah,
cool as fuck,
so,
dude.
Yes, it was the same. It was the same thing I did. Was it 2-3 weeks ago? Basically on the 25th. Seeing in New Jersey. But yeah, so I finally got around to getting my 360 footage up. So yeah, check out my YouTube channel, or if you're on Facebook, you can check me out there. And yeah, put up basically the first 30 minutes because the battery died after 30, and I didn't realize it. Meanwhile, I'm also taking pictures with my point and shoot camera, so at least I have that. But yeah,
you got some beautiful shots.
Oh yeah, but yeah, first at least you get the first 30 minutes, and you can move the scene around since it's a 360 view, so you can kind of see whatever view you like of the first 30 minutes. It takes about basically it's the entrance into the shipyard, and then down and about halfway through the ship from the rear forward, and then the battery dies.
So, yeah, I ain't gonna lie, dude.
That's all you get.
I was like going back and forth, rewinding. I was having a blast with that.
Like, oh yeah, it's so fun. It's like ooh, new angle.
I don't even have to go.
That was the thing. Like they warned you ahead of time. Because I'm sure you, especially with your knee, you would have hated it because basically they said it's 130 stairs down and 130 stairs back up. Make sure you can do it.
Fuck that.
Yeah, exactly.
Hooray!
It's like make sure you can do this because there's no elevator or anything like that, and we're going to break out the crane to get you up if that happens.
Meanwhile, there's Nick. All right, easy company, 132 up, 132 down. Wow, that's a lot, man. Like when you really think about it, I guess it's easy to forget just how gargantuan these things are.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. Like you're standing underneath it, and you just get the true immense size of these things. Like I mean, it's big above water, but then when you see like the whole thing stacked above you, yeah, and you're just like, oh baby.
Yeah, I would love to see one of them being built, like in the dry dock as it's getting close to the end. I've always wanted to see that. Like I feel like that would look so damn cool, where you could still see some of the skeleton open and shit. And,
sure,
that's awesome. No, that's super cool, man. But let me see here. Yeah, I've been definitely gaming a lot over the past few weeks.
Yeah, good time to game.
Yeah. Oh man, there's been a ton of good stuff. I'm just pulling up. My recently played list. I basically went all in on anything Steam Deck,
Nice.
compatible. And yeah, I played a lot of Everspace too. I was having fun with that because I guess they just did this giant free update for it.
Oh yeah, have they overhauled to Unreal 5 yet? Or it's coming?
That's a good question.
I think I remember seeing something that like they were going to overhaul it because obviously it's out, but they said they I want to say I read an update where they're going to overhaul it to I think the Unreal 5 engine, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. Don't at me.
Looking at it now. Incursion events. There's like all these new incursion events.
Yeah, I know they've been doing like more stuff around that.
Oh, and Unreal Engine 5. They upgraded from Unreal 4 to Unreal Engine 5.
Oh, so that's done now. Okay.
I think. Yeah, the last few months regarding Everspace. Yeah. As far as I can tell. Yeah. Yeah, that was part of it as well.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I just realized I'm a fucking idiot and I haven't toggled it on.
Oh, it's a toggle. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it says right here in the release notes. They have the upscale DLSS 3.5, AMD FSR 3.0, Intel XeSS upscaler to really make the stars shine. All these new settings are toggleable and completely optional.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, they can enable Lumen GI and all that stuff. Oh, I'm gonna have to check that out later.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that. But yeah,
that's an awesome game. Like hands down, I had a blast with that. Like I enjoyed 1, but like I really liked the treatment they had for 2 because what 1 was fun, but it was the
roguelike difficulty.
The roguelike difficulty, and you're constantly kind of like playing it over and over again, and you got variety, but certain things you couldn't necessarily do from run to run because again, the variety. Whereas Everspace 2 definitely it put it into that action adventure slash I'm trying to think of it's not space sim necessarily.
Like Rogue Galaxy.
Rogue Galaxy. But I like that because it's like now you're exploring. Now you can you're looting stuff. You're getting all these Diablo-esque style drops and things, and it's like okay now I was leveling up my ship, and it's like it was just I don't know, just something about it like clicked a lot better. You're like again not to knock 1, but it's like man they did a really good job with 2.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I liked 2 a lot more than I liked 1. And they update, and again, this was a free update, like added this huge chunk of stuff to the end game. So you got to check that out. These like incursion events, and I haven't gotten there yet, but super.
Yeah, I think I dabbled with their first, like when they first released it. I dabbled with it, but I gotta because I know they've been adding more and more, so I gotta go back and try that again.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. Let's see, what else have I been playing before we talk news? Diablo 4, the new season's fantastic. That one's pulled me back in pretty
That's what I
hard.
keep hearing. Like they actually kind of like turned it around a bit and made
Yeah,
it actually fun.
yes. Yeah, it's probably much more along the lines of what I was hoping it would be. And it's a blast. Like the new I can't think of the name of it now, but like how you can smith the affixes and all these things to your weapons, and the customizing that you can do, and just the variety of it. They really nailed it. It's and I'm playing a necromancer for the first time, and the build that I have is just like ultra minion army.
Oh,
And
nice.
I am just having so much fun just killing stuff, raising the dead, and just sending it to do my dirty work.
Yeah, I think the first season, I think I did a necromancer. I think it was the first season, either the first
Yeah.
season or like the preseason. And I did have a lot of fun. With that necromancer though, I went with it was the body pop one.
Yep.
So
I use that too. I use minions and corpse
okay,
explosion.
yeah, and that is so satisfying. It's like as soon as like enemies start going down, you're like boom, 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 everything just explodes. You're like yes.
Yeah, you're very valued in group events. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, no, and it's great. Like they really. My friend at work was saying the same thing. He's like, and the leveling seems much faster with this season.
Oh, good.
So yeah, like I think I'm at like almost level 50, and I think I've only played a handful of hours, like not much.
And I think I read and confirmed it's true. Like you don't have to do, or you don't have to necessarily hunt down all the shrines again, right?
No.
Yeah. That's
No.
what I heard. Because I know season 1 you had to do that, and and I want to say like that was like the biggest pain in the ass to do all over again. It's like I've done this already in the preseason. Why do I have to do this again?
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember off the top of my head, to be honest.
I want to say, but again, yeah, maybe someone out there can correct me. Like, no, Beagle, you're dead wrong. Play the game.
I would still play it. I think you'd have a lot of fun. It's definitely. I love what they did with this season. I like.
Nice.
Luke was saying the same thing. I was talking about it with a bunch of people. Like everybody's been pulled back in pretty hard by it, so I think they did a good job.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm seeing that kind of universal love for it. And then let me just go down my list. I started another Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough. Fuck that game. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is so fun creating characters in that game. And just like I got like raised dead as soon as I could, because now I'm just talking to everybody I find. And I'm blown away. I have raised dead on my main character, and then one of I think it's Karlak. I gave her talk to animals in the barbarian level up tree. I think that was her. So like it just blows my mind. Like almost every corpse that you raise from the dead is voice casted. And then like yes, dude. And then you talk to animals. Every fucking animal.
Yeah, I knew the animals. Like, yeah, it's like every animal has like their own thing too. Yeah.
Even the rats. It's pretty wild. But yeah, so I was playing that. But the one that there was a couple here that I wanted to tell you about. One that's in early access, it has been for a while, and it's one I pick up and play and just get lost in, is the Bloodline. It's a first-person RPG, not Minecrafty graphics, but definitely along that line of like better than Minecraft, but polygony.
Okay.
But it is such a deep RPG. Like you're somebody reincarnated and you're gonna fight the big bad. But you start out with a castle, and like you can start building like buildings that are useful. Like you start building your kingdom back up, basically. And then you go on, all kinds of adventures and quests, and there's tons of like proc gen stuff, emergent gameplay. There's crafting. There's a grappling hook system. You can just throw your hook at things and swing around Indiana Jones style.
Nice.
The Bloodline has so much good going for it. It's a really good time. Like that's one you can easily lose hours in. And then let's see. I messed around with Wizardry: The Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord remake. That's a beautiful remake, and it's yet another one that has the toggle where you can just flip it and you're playing the Apple IIe version of it, like built on top of the old bones and tons of quality of life, but you could flick the switch and see just what it was like, back in the day with playing the first Wizardry game.
Nice.
Yeah, super cool. And then the main one I wanted to I think I told you about this one, so I'll go over it quickly, but Shadows of Doubt, the detective one, did I tell you about that?
I don't think so.
So this is kind of a cyberpunky dystopian, like you generate a city when you first start the game, and then you create your character. But in the city, every single person has like a residence, an agenda, a job, and you play a detective in this city, and like you go on cases, and it's like, it might be finding somebody is missing ring or something like that, and you start looking at their connections, the people they know, and you build the string board, and then you start dusting for prints. It's hardcore detective game. Like there's no gun, like you don't have a gun.
Yeah, just kind of like point and click style.
Yeah, first person. Again, not super great graphics by any means, but charming for what it is. And like you can hunt down like serial killers and arrest them. And like I saw somebody posted a video. They were between doing cases and just walking around the city, and someone just round the corner and blasted somebody and then ran away, and that was their next case. It just randomly happened.
Wow.
And they had to like track down who it was and go through the evidence. It's pretty neat. And they just added a new case type with sniper killers, like a sniper serial killer case. So it's very cool. I would definitely recommend Shadows of Doubt. But finally the main one I wanted to get on the board is Scald Against the Black Priory. This is a retro style RPG, brand new, came out the end of May.
Okay.
It has kind of Ultima 6 style graphics, like maybe a little bit better than Super Nintendo. Just, SKALD, check it out. Because I got in touch with the developer and I actually want to have him on, because like this game is so good and so inspired, and it just so indie love story. Like it is.
Oh yeah.
An independent masterpiece. Like I'll put it to you this way. Sven Inky from Larian.
Uh-huh.
He's like, this is my favorite game right now. The ones that did Baldur's Gate.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really, really good. And it's one of those, he really nailed it's obviously got the retro look and feel.
Yeah, like it's like full on retro. That is cool looking.
It's like an Ultima game, like Ultima 6 is the comparison I immediately make is Ultima 6. And it's just done great. Quality of life is awesome. Lighting, like the way the guy does lighting is genius.
Mm-hmm.
And the story is so good. I'm having so much fun with it. That was one I played on the deck during the knee layup of this summer. But I reached out to Anders. He's kind of totally swamped because this game really took off.
It's exploding, yeah.
And but he definitely wants to work something out, and we can have him on, because I just would love to. I would love to hear like what inspired him to create this game and like what it was like, because it's a real gem. It's really good.
I even like the trailer they put in. It makes it look like, they don't have any kind of brand, but it makes it look like a Commodore 64.
Yes,
something like that. That's great. I love it.
It's fantastic. Like again, for those listening that love the new games inspired by the classics, Scald, you probably already have it. If you're listening to this show, you've probably already bought it. But it is fantastic. I love it. But that was the main ones I've been playing. Before we go into news, I'd love to hear what you've been playing. I just had a lot to catch up on with my injury.
Oh, of course. Yeah, well, still playing Songs of Conquest. Actually, I played that yesterday on stream, so that's still a ton of fun.
I was gonna say, you having fun with that one? That's a great one, isn't it?
Absolute blast. Like, again, for those who didn't miss last week's episode or don't know what it is, it's basically like a Heroes of Might and Magic style game. It just came out, I think, a week or two ago.
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago, I think.
Basically beginning of June. And yeah, it kind of this same kind of retro look. It has that very much like here's my magic look to it. It's not super pixelated, but again, it has that kind of retro pixel, retro pixel look to it.
Yeah, I mean, if you played Heroes 2 or Heroes 3, it looks like it was that.
Exactly like that. And I'm kind of going through the campaigns. They are tough.
I was gonna say, how far are you? Because man, are they fucking hard.
Oh yeah, like usually like the first mission in each. So there's 4 factions. The first mission is usually easy enough. And then but they do get like progressively harder and more difficult. And usually by the fourth one is just like you have to be like on point in terms of like whatever you're building. You got to make sure you're not losing too many troops in your battles, like you know,
man,
things like that. So you really got to be good with your tactics and using your heroes' abilities and things like that.
It's fucking brutal.
Oh yeah, absolutely brutal, and I love it. I love it. It's not a pushover. It's not my concern, like when I saw it, because basically it's 4 campaigns. Each campaign has 4 missions, and I looked at it like, well, that seems kind of short. But each mission takes forever. Like the map is huge. Yeah. You're just like wandering all over the place, and it takes a while to like get everything up and going and all that. So yeah, you're spending a good amount of time in each mission. Yep. And like I said, they get progressively harder, and I'm still trying to beat like the first campaign, 4th mission, and it's like it is crazy hard, and but it good hard. It's not like brutal punishing. No, it's like no, you gotta figure out some kind of tactic. Either you're running the wrong units or
you gotta have some strategery.
Yes, get that strategy. So it's like I love that. Kind of like what is the strategy? Like what is the best?
Yeah,
way to
you really gotta. Yeah, you really gotta figure it out. It depends on the enemies that you're facing in the campaign. And what I love about this game, if you're like me and you got frustrated with the campaign mission, and you just wanted to try one of the other factions, this has probably the best random map generator I've ever seen. To where you can pick, how many players you want to play against, how big you want it to be. It generates a fresh map loaded with points of interest, just like you play in the campaigns, and you can just play. And they works for multiplayer. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I did see they have full on multiplayer. I think I dabbled with one. I don't know if it was a random build. But if it was like that actually makes it even cooler. I was like, I could go back and get a completely different map. For the thing. So okay, note that.
Yeah, that is I think one of my favorite parts about the game. It just has that infinite, replayability.
Oh yeah,
that might be a fun one for an episode 100. We'll get a few people and we'll play a campaign of that on a random map.
Yeah, there you
go. So one of us goes Monopoly and throws our laptop. Fuck this game!
And then the other game I'm playing, I've gone into Soul Mask. And this is really cool. Baron and Krieger, turned me on to this one. It released at the May 31st, so end of May, beginning of June. It is an early access game. Plays like Conan. So kind of that survival style game. But instead of like thralls and whatnot, you I say recruit tribesmen and women into your tribe, so to speak. And tribe is more than just like like a guild or something like that. Like it encompasses your NPCs and whatnot.
Right.
And it's kind of the backdrop is kind of like an Aztec like lore and mythos.
Oh, fascinating.
So it's like you are not the Aztecs, but it's definitely like influenced by it, by what you're the armor and the animals. You're like in a jungle and whatnot, and so, some of the big bosses and whatnot. So you're fighting like jaguars and other like jungle creatures and things like that. So that's really cool.
That's fascinating.
And then like kind of like the big thing about this that kind of separates it from kind of other survivals is that you don this mask, and this mask serves as kind of I say almost like your class a little bit, and that's how you level. So like the more you wear this mask, the more you level up its power, and then you have you start to get the other abilities. But you can take it off and you could put on a different mask, and so you could, so you're not locked to a specific class or anything like that. It's
Now,
just
does your experience that you've gained with the mask preserve?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. So basically, like you put it on the shelf and say, like, okay, I don't want to level that mask anymore. I want to do this one. But it's
right.
like, oh, you know what? I want to go back to that. And so you can pick that one back up and pick up right where you left off.
Oh, that's cool. That
And,
is interesting.
yeah, and you can also so you basically like your mask has levels, and then you as your avatar has certain levels and abilities. Yeah, so I say basic stuff. So it's like
Yeah.
athletics and strength and things like that. But what you can do is then you can put your mask on your NPCs that you've been recruiting and say, okay, I want to use you,
Oh.
and they could have they'll have different stats to those. So you can even change up. It's like, oh, maybe I'm like super strength, but I want a super stealthy. I need super stealthy stats or something. So let me go to my NPC here, and you can transfer and basically drive the NPC around and play with them. Now, and the thing is, you're still leveling the mask, and then you're also kind of like quasi leveling the NPC too. So it's like maybe it's like, okay, I want let's flip flip it around. It's like I need my NPC to be really strong so they can
Huh.
harvest trees for me. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna grind away on trees and then come back to the village and then switch back to my original avatar body. And it's like that is the really cool part, and that it gives you a lot of versatility in terms of play, and control
That
over your
is
tribe a little bit.
really cool.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
gonna I'm gonna have to check that one out come payday. That sounds like something I really enjoy.
yeah. And the only drawback we found so far is in its current mode, we have a dedicated server set up with our group,
Oh,
and the
it's
problem
always
is
on.
it's always on. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
So like
boo.
we've done stuff where like it's like 7 days to die or whatever, and basically like there's either a server setting or we found a way to do it where basically once everyone logs off, the server goes into like a hibernation mode. So
Yeah, it
the
should.
world
Everything should have
yeah,
that.
the world stops advancing. So it's like, okay, we don't have to log in to deal with stuff or whatever, or we're coming in. It's like, oh, it's day 7. Well, unfortunately, with this one, you can set up your tribe to eat food, or say your food supplies is basically
Yeah.
whatever stacked. They will eat through those supplies while you're logged off.
Oh,
And if those supplies run out, then your tribe starts starving to death.
I would hope they would at least have that as a
Yeah.
toggle.
I'm hoping. Yeah, it is early access. I do. Yeah, I do hope that eventually they have a toggle or something, and
Yeah.
we're looking through the server settings now to see like, is there a way to pause this, or even from a manual perspective, like granted
Right.
that's not ideal either. But it's like, can we like say like, okay, can we pause this? Because like, yeah, it's like we like to dabble with our games. We don't want to make the game a
Yeah,
a
you don't want to
second
be
job.
obligated to
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
exactly.
I
So
have a hard time with that shit.
yeah, so at least with the dedicated server, I think there is a single player mode. So the question is like, if you play that, will that
Yeah, is
pause
that
when
gonna
you log
keep
out?
going?
I would assume so, but who knows?
Who
So
knows?
buyer beware on that aspect. But other than that, like fantastic game, really fun to play. And despite that slight negative, it's actually really enjoyable. So
Yeah, I definitely love the idea of that mask system. I will definitely be checking that out. That's awesome. All right. Is that your main dish of
yeah,
play?
yeah, that's basically what I've been playing the past few weeks. Yeah,
Nice. All right. Well, let's go on to some releases and some news. Um,
indeed.
the most recent releases, at least there's been a bunch, from the last time we recorded, but I would say most recently, Shin Megami Tensei 5, Vengeance, I believe it is. I forget the title, but yeah, SMT5 is out. It's a port from a Switch release, but it's like the complete version, just like they did with the Persona games, where it's like Persona 5 Royal.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
And this is Persona is a spin-off of this series. This series is like all the heavy RPG stuff you have in like Persona 5, but none of the social stuff. So this is like strict JRPG, demon collection, breeding, Pokemon for grown-ups, really, really dark and heavy subject matter.
Hmm.
Um, like every game deals at starts off with basically the end of the world, and then this war between, at least in this case, a war between heaven and hell that's playing out, and very, very good. I'm having a lot of fun with it so far. The demon variety is off the chart, and it's just good hardcore JRPG. If you want to play a good JRPG, pick it up.
Nice.
And then coming out, Starfield released the creator market.
Oh yeah. Well, the creator market sounds fantastic. If you haven't heard what's happened, basically, it's Bethesda / Microsoft now, charge for things coming out of
Well, okay. To be fair, the people who create them can put them up for free if they want.
True.
But the ones created by Bethesda, and this is where I'm going to throw some poo-poo at Todd Howard again.
Yeah, that's probably what I have more beef with. Yeah, it's like, yeah.
They had as part of this creator update, a free update adding the Trackers Guild to the game, which was the bounty hunting guild that got fleshed out quite a bit. But then they added you can play through the initial mission, but if you want to play the next step of the mission, next step up and finish it off, and then kind of get into the repeatable portion of it, you got to buy the mod of the tracker initiative, and it's like $7 for
$7, and you're like, oh, $7, nothing, but it's like
one mission.
It's not like a full DLC. It's one mission for $7. Like, are you kidding me?
Are you out of your fucking mind? So yeah, I think this is going to go through quite some rocky patches before. I think eventually it will level out into something reasonable. But it just doesn't look good for Bethesda right now. This is just like, Jesus Christ, here they go again. Horse armor, anybody?
Yeah, horse. I know, right?
Holy fuck.
Yeah, you feel like that was so long ago, and microtransactions have come so far in the worst direction ever. And
right.
Here we are. Buy single mission, $7. But
horse armor again.
Yeah. It's like, oh, come on. It's like
I don't mind.
I'm definitely not picking it up. It's like, no, I'm struggling to maybe I'll kind of jump back in and play Starfield, with the new stuff they've added, but it's just I think it's still suffering from the same fundamental problem of it just feels empty.
It feels empty. It does. And I think they better get it right with this Shattered Space expansion, whatever it's going to be.
Yeah. I'm kind of it looks cool, but it's okay, how does it play? What does it do for things? Is it still empty?
They got to figure that out, because again, there's a good game in the bones there. I do like what that game wants to be. I don't know any other way to put it. The stuff that it gets right, it gets really right. Little things, when you dock the ship, or, you see it sounds stupid, but little attention to detail, the docking camera as you, approach things. That's pretty cool. And generally the exploration of it in some senses, going in abandoned space stations, that's fun. There's definitely good bones in this game, and I've had fun with it. I don't want to act like I haven't had fun with it. But the problem is it hits a cliff and just drops. You'll get to a point, I haven't even beaten the game yet, because I'm I'll get there.
But it gets super repetitive, and there's nothing in between. It's the whole you gotta jump to a place, you do a thing, rinse, repeat, and then it's jump to another place,
or you can build a base, but why?
Well, why? Yeah, there's no point to do it. Although I think it looked like with Shattered Space they're trying to bring more agency to the
they gotta do something. They gotta do something, because it's very I don't know. I'm not too
like you said. It has elements that are fun. And I would say the first, I don't know how many, it depends on how you play it, but the first couple hours are cool, because it's everything's new and you're kind of exploring, but
this is pretty good.
But like you said, you hit the cliff, and when you realize oh, okay, I'm not at the point where it's the only way to
There
progress
really is
forward,
nothing else.
yeah, the only way forward is to like rinse, repeat many, many times, and it's the same exact thing. Yeah, so it's like,
Yeah. Yeah, so that's that. And I was just like, whatever. Yeah, since we were here. Oh, and sorry, later on this week, Shadow of the Erd Tree
oh yeah, that's
launches, the Elden Ring expansion. I'm gonna
yeah.
hold off on that a little bit. Just because I hit the wall in that game at one point. And it's one of those, like, I'll be the first to admit that game has made me better at other games. Like,
oh yeah, like the whole, like, you know, you gotta get good. You gotta have some skill.
yeah,
I know I did, like, for me, I ground quite a bit to get my levels up to an adequate level of, like, okay, it can help compensate for the fact that I was suck
yeah,
my
yeah.
skill issue, and then I finally beat it. But it's like, but I did have fun with it, like, you know,
I loved it. I
because
will.
it was, I think, the first Souls game I played all the way through, because I think I want to say I played like Dark Souls at your house or something.
Oh my god, I remember
Way,
that we kept falling off the fucking
yeah,
cliff.
way back in the day, like falling off the cliff, but it was only like one section, so I never played it all the way through,
Yeah.
and people were like warning me, it's like,
Oh, you beat Elden Ring.
yeah,
Oh, good for you.
yeah, it was a lot of fun to beat it,
I'm gonna have to.
but it took a long, again, like I said, a long time. It was like I had to like grind it, but I also turned it in kind of like exploration, because I ended up like just traversing all over the place just to see like what's over here.
Yeah.
And so that ended up being a lot more fun of just wandering around and exploring, kind of uncovering the map. And it's like, okay, here's all these crazy bosses and creatures, and it's like, this is cool.
I want to get back to that. Like, I want to try again and go through and try to beat it. And if I really get into it and I get close to beating it, then I'll pick up the expansion. Like, I'm trying to be more selective. Like, am I really going to get to play that?
Sure.
And get to that point. But I do want to play more, because I love Elden Ring. I thought it was one of the best games I played when it came out. Like, it's hard as shit, but I loved that this was the first Souls game where you, like you said, you could go grind it out and give yourself a better chance. I couldn't really do that with the other Souls games. But I love that game. I think from an exploration standpoint, especially, it's probably one of the best games ever made. In that regard. But yeah, so excuse me, that hits later this week. Since we were here last, we had the Summer Games Fest.
Oh yes.
I didn't really watch. I gotta be honest. I missed a lot of it.
And I gotta say, you haven't missed much.
That's what I heard. I heard it was okay.
And they did, like, well, at least for Keely's portion, they kind of warned ahead of time, and like I took that as like, okay, this is gonna be a pretty slow summer, Summer Game Fest / what has replaced E3, but yeah, they warned, like, it's like, we're not going to really show off too much new stuff. It's gonna be
right. You already kind of know what's coming.
Yeah, no, it's going, and I think there were one or a handful of titles that were like, oh, that looks new. So either I missed it last time or something. But yeah, for the most part, it was a bit of a snooze fest. Like, there wasn't really anything from I say the big boys, in terms of like Xbox, Sony, Nintendo is tomorrow. So I don't know, maybe they'll have something.
Xbox did more at their own showcase. They did a lot more than they did at Summer
Games.
Yeah,
and again, there were a few titles like, oh, okay, it's on Game Pass, perfect. I'll play it there. But honestly, if I didn't have Game Pass, or if Game Pass didn't exist, I would be hard pressed to say, like, I'm putting money down on this type of thing.
Yeah, like I was looking at Dragon Age Veilguard. Like, it was great, yes, to hear finally some news about the next Dragon Age game.
Mm-hmm.
It's
yeah, that's about the size of it.
I feel like they're leaning hard again into the direction of Dragon Age 2, which I was not a huge fan of. For one, like,
well, yeah,
I don't know. It was one city the whole game.
Yeah,
and they've already come out and said that Veilguard, which is the new title, is not open world.
Yep.
There's no mounts because it's not open world. Which, again, all right, but the bones of this game were built on a crossroad of like classic RPG games. Dragon Age Origins was more along the lines of a classic RPG.
Yes. Yeah.
And Dragon Age 2 went, action twitchy ding dong, and not a lot of people liked it. And so with Inquisition, they started going back the other way. It started to be more again of a kind of classic CRPG.
Yeah, kind of back to the RPG, classic RPG. Yeah, but here's the funny thing. When I was watching it and this came up, like, oh, okay, this looks like Dragon Age. Is this kind of like a spin-off game or kind of like a game before the game? And then I realized, like, nope, this is the game.
The game. Yeah.
It's like, oh no. And like it'll be one of those like since it's under EA, sometimes they tie in with Game Pass or whatever. But I'm gonna be hard pressed to like put cash down on this thing. Like it's just like. It's
I don't know.
I was looking at whenever because they've been hyping up this Dragon Age game for the past like several years, and it's like, ooh, are we gonna get like more Inquisition or even OGs?
They should have blown our doors off. This did not come
and
close.
That's what I was like hoping for. And granted, they didn't specifically, I would say, tease. Like all we saw was just like art assets, which don't mean anything. But it's like the fact that they kept teasing this, like, ooh, the next Dragon Age game, ooh, and I mean, it felt like the red shirt guy from Blizzard is like, is this a late April Fool's joke?
Right. Like, really, guys. When is this? And this is slated for this year. Yeah, it's slated for this year.
Well, yeah, that was the double kicker. It's like, oh, it's coming out this year, and look, I'm watching it. It's like,
that's give it another year.
Yeah, it's like, well, that's also what made me think it was like some kind of like spin-off game of like,
right.
Oh, okay, it's like here's a game before we release the full thing. To like kind of hold you over. Like, no, this is it. It's like, oh no.
Yeah, EA is doing the same thing to BioWare that they did with Origin. Back in the
it is no longer what it was, and who knows? Maybe the game will be fun, but it's like realizing it's going to be an on rails adventure game. It's like, okay, I'm not expecting much.
I'm not either. Like this, out of all series, this was the one that again should have been another open world RPG. So I'll be interested to see what happens. But like you, I'm not going to be in any rush to pre-order it.
Yeah.
I did see the Gears of War prequel, the E-Day prequel. Yep. That looked cool.
That look cool. Again, it'll be on Game Pass. So again, this is like now the thing is I haven't played Gears of War since 3, so I haven't played 4 or 5, and I think
they're fun. It's just fun Gears.
So it's like okay, yeah, like, and in fact it's on Game Pass. So again, this is falling in the category of like if I didn't have it, I'd be hard pressed to like. It's like, oh, it'd be like, oh yeah, I remember playing Gears of War back in the day. But like for me, it's like, multiplayer is not going to interest me. It's going to be like, okay, I'm going to play through the story, have fun with that, and
the story co-op is where that game shines.
Yeah, and call it a day. So that's kind of where I am with this. It's like, okay, cool. We're returning Gears of War. Sign me up. Via Game Pass, and yeah. But again, not knocking my socks off. They did tease more of the Fable game.
That I'm holding the torch for that one. I love Fable.
Yeah, like I enjoy the Fable series. It looked great, and it said it was like in games. Like, man,
it looked gorgeous.
Now I am curious, like, what will it look like on release? Because I think that is slated for next year. Yeah, I think. Yeah,
I think it's 2025.
Yeah. So they got a little more to go. So I'm curious, like, of what we saw, will that hold up when it actually launches? Because we've seen games where it's like they tease like with super graphics and then you get it, and it's not like total shit show, but
it's not Fallout 76 shit show.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this doesn't look as good as the trailer you released whatever back in the day. It's like, why is it a little scuffed around the edges?
Graphics, really? This looks like Fallout 4.
yeah, exactly. So you got that. Granted, sign me up no matter what.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones game.
Yes. Oh, dude, I'm dying for an Indiana Jones game, man.
Like
it is so needed.
and what they showed looked fantastic. It
Yeah,
kind of has that
looks
indie
great.
humor and action. So it's like, okay, yeah, like
Wonderfully voice cast. Whoever is doing indie.
oh yeah,
is
yeah. I don't know,
great.
yeah, who it is, but it's like, man, they got it down, and like just like the facial animations, and just like that Harrison Ford look to it, and it's like, okay, yeah, sign me up for this adventure.
I can't wait. Like that one, I will pre-order.
Yeah,
it could suck, but I'm pre-ordering it.
And they got Marcus Brody, or like obviously not the actor, but as a character.
As a character, I saw that. It was great.
It's like
I was that was the one that was
the right buttons right now.
That's the one that excited me most.
Yeah.
And then right behind it, I will say I was pretty pumped with Doom, the Dark.
Oh, okay, yeah. That took me by.
Looks cool.
Because because it started off with the whole like you got a shotgun, and then he had the shield. And I'm like, is this Doom? And then sure enough, I was like, oh, Dark Ages, got it.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it looks great. I'm excited to give that a spin. It's a take on Doom that's never really been done, at least not since I played the Boot Hill mod for Doom 2, the Old West.
Classic.
But, yeah, so it'll be cool. I'm looking forward to that one. Oh, you have one that I did want to talk about. Empire of the Ants.
Yes.
That looks cool, man.
Yeah, so this is I can only like it seems like a mixture of stuff, but it's like a third person where you are like not necessarily the queen ant, but you're like a commanding ant.
Yeah.
Combined with like kind of RTS sim ant style stuff where it's like you can kind of do stuff, and like you had scenes where like you're able to like ride, I think it was like riding a beetle or something, and like basically you can ride other bugs as a mount. But then you had RTS elements where you could like, command the ant colony to do certain things and like, attack or defend or do all this stuff. And like, it looks super cool.
Oh, dude, the graphics. Holy Christ.
Yeah. So it's like, okay. Yeah. It's like, I was not.
It's like you said, if you're bug phobic, don't even fucking.
Yeah. If you don't like bugs, don't sign up for this. Cause I think, they have the usual smattering of what you find in the backyard of like spiders and.
Yeah. This will fucking trigger your fears.
Beetles and
so
obviously tons and tons of ants. But yeah, if you're not super bug phobic or it doesn't get you in video games, like this actually looks pretty cool. I say it takes me back to my Sim Ant days, but that's the retro graphics. But this is definitely like this. It looks like a cool implementation. I'm eager to see how it actually plays.
Me too. Yeah.
But I like kind of like what they were pitching of the it's like third person view of like your commanding ant plus again the RTS elements of like managing the colony and doing that. So it's like, ooh, it's like I'm eager to see how it plays.
Oh, God damn it. Now I want to play Sim Ant again.
break that out. Sim Ant.
Speaking of, actually, that was a great segue because you literally typed the same question I asked after watching the preview for it.
Right.
Civilization 7.
Yes. And I was like, Civ 7. Okay. It's like, I like my Civ games.
I love my Civ games, but what is this doing differently?
Yes, yeah. That was like, it's like okay, like because they didn't really show much. It was kind of like a little like teaser thing of like showing the various civs. Is like, okay, yeah, but what are you bringing to the table? For this?
I do feel like at this point in the iteration cycle, they've got to find a new layer to add to it. Like the original formula is great and it works. But I just feel like it's running the danger of becoming the turn-based Madden.
Yes, yeah. You what? I was about to write that in there. We're like, it's like no, it's not. We're not. I don't know if we're quite there yet. But you know what? After you saying it, yeah, like are they just now? Granted, they're not churning it out every year, but it's like okay, advanced number, churn out the next game without too much change.
Yeah, like give us something. Like there's brilliant people behind those games. I'm sure you can think of some really cool mechanic. The Nemesis system, Jeremy, if you're listening. He never fucking lets me forget that one. He's like, yeah, remember when Al said that should be and will be in every game after playing Shadow of Mordor? What happened with that?
And never see it again. Oh, and that was such a great mechanic, too.
I fucking loved it. I thought that was so great. and so fun. And I was like, man, people got to steal this. Find a way to put it in every game you never saw.
Yeah, because it's like okay, you take out the captain, but then like the lieutenant takes his place, and so like there's just constant like replacement happening, and so yeah, it's like you have constantly.
Or they end up patching him up with magic, and he comes back with
yeah,
his head
comes back as a vengeance. Yeah, it's like things like that. It's like why can't absolutely do that with like the various like civ leaders where either the same thing happens or whatever. It's like why not?
Oh, dude, I love that system. I'd love to see it used somewhere else. Yeah, let's see what else. Oh, you called out another one I saw that I thought looked really neat. That Generation Exile.
Yes.
That looks interesting. I like the take.
Yeah, because it's a city builder, but the twist is unlike other city builders, where usually more or less you have infinite resources. You may not be able to get access to it. It might be timing or whatever. This one, it's basically you're on a generational ship, so it's designed to go from Earth to Alpha Centauri, and then multiple generations live their lives on this thing. You are confined to what's already on the spaceship. So I think it has a nice little message of it's like, okay, like, recycling, use what you have to begin with. There's no like plentiful resources that you can just mine the node forever. It's like, no, you got to deal with what you have on board.
Yeah. I love that. I just think it's a neat concept.
Yeah. So, another one where I'm kind of eager to see like, okay, how does this actually play out?
How do we twist this? Like,
yeah.
I could see it, having some of them Frostpunk vibes, like having to make the hard choices. Obviously, I like that idea. I'm interested to see where they go with it. That one really caught my eye. And the other thing is, I've been seeing more and more footage for it, and again, it looks great. But how's it going to play? Is that Dune? What is it? Awakening?
Oh, Awakening! Now that looked cool. Again, no gameplay. But they actually had a great, like, I guess lore video is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Explaining how the game fits into, because they are tying it into, I think, the Villeneuve style movie. Now, obviously, like, yes, I know that there's the Dune books and, there's been many series, but there is
but I like the visual that they're going for with the Villeneuve one.
Yeah. So visually, they're tying into the Villeneuve movies. But the question is like, it's like, okay, how does this work if, Muad'Dib and all that, because it's I forget if they said like it's like after,
is it an
quasi
alternate?
After. But in the lore video, they explain. Maybe that's what it was. So like leading up, everyone's asking the questions like, how does this work? Like it's like with where things are at. Where is this in the timeline? Is this before or after Paul Atreides lands or whatever? And then they answer it with this whole like lore video, which was fantastically put together. Yeah. And basically, it is alternate timeline where Jessica does not have a son.
Yeah,
she has a daughter, as she was supposed to have. At least according to the Bene Gesserits. And it, so obviously, like everything changes, and so now the prophecy is never fulfilled, and Arrakis is under control of the Harkonnen the entire time, and so it's like, okay, that's a great way to put together, and not that I like ever has to make sense when it comes to a game per se, but
I like that they took that route.
Yeah, it's nice that they took the effort to do that. Still want to see gameplay.
Yeah, I thought they showed a couple flashes of gameplay.
So they may have, and they have done several like behind the scenes videos prior to the Game Fest weekend that they had. And they've kind of like dabbled a little bit in terms of like not necessarily exactly a vertical slice. But they dab a little bit, show very tiny snippets of gameplay, but it seems like really like early alpha stuff, to be honest. So again, I'm still eager to see like, okay, how does this play out? I'm also eager to see like, okay, does it? So I'll back up. playing Nightingale. Very fun, but I think needs more cook time.
Yeah.
One of the big problems we discovered with that is that only so many people can be on a server at one time.
Oh.
So unlike, I think Conan could go up to 16, maybe 32 players.
Yeah.
I think. Nightingale is limited, I think it's 6 people. Maybe 8.
Wow.
It's pretty small. Now the trick is you can have quote unquote more people on your server node, but not at the same time. So you could have, let's say, like 16 people that could warp in and out of your.
But only 6 can be there at a time.
But only 6 can be online at the same time. So it's like, okay, so if you have like a large group that you want to try and play with, not possible.
Okay.
So I'm curious to see, like, not that Dune has mentioned any numbers or anything, but
which route are they going to take?
Yeah, which route are they going to take? Because Nightingale kind of like sideswiped. I felt most of the community kind of felt the same way. Whereas like, okay, you kind of sideswiped us with this, where it's like we're used to these other games, Conan, Ark, all that, where it's like, yeah, we can have sometimes 32 or 64 people, depending on if you have like a hosted thing going on.
Right.
And it's like a lot of people on, and now now it's like, okay, only 6 to 8 people or whatever. So it's like, okay, now we know that they're going into this like kind of instant tech stuff. Now, granted, again, Dune is on Funcom side, Nightingale's completely different dev company. So, but it plants that seed of like, okay, what is the final?
What is the standard? Yeah. What's it gonna look like?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like eager to see more, but it's like, again, it's like kind of holding on to the money. not that you pre-order, but it's like, okay, like show me stem to stern what this looks like before I fully commit.
Yeah. No, I've been very careful with early access titles lately.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, that's one I haven't pulled the trigger on yet. It's another one I think I'm gonna wait and see how it pans out.
Mm-hmm. But again, like it's high on the radar. It's like, yes, yeah, like I'm excited. It's like, don't get me wrong,
Dune, I'm totally excited.
But yeah, it's like, yeah, not gonna make that jump until I see. It's like, let's see some.
Yeah, like what is this gonna be? Is it gonna be an MMO?
Exactly.
Or is it gonna be like a Conan MMO?
And if it's Conan, if it lives up to the same methodology as Conan, it's like that's still fine with me. But they're making it look like a lot bigger than.
They're making it look like an MMO.
Yeah.
Battles between the houses.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like it pushes me towards sort of like, okay, are they going like Nightingale route where they're gonna segment people into instances or what have you, or are we gonna what again? What is that? I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but what does it look like?
What does it look like at the end of it? Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, definitely. Oh, this, you're like one of the few people I can relate on this, I think. Aside from people listening, of course. But before we wrap up, my brother-in-law came up last weekend, and then the weekend that I hurt my knee, and he got us into, and like I haven't watched the movies in this series for years, but we rented Godzilla -1.
I keep hearing good things about this.
Holy shit, was that a good movie? I have not watched a Godzilla movie in a long, long time. And we bought that one. Like my wife was into it. Like by the end of it, we were like, wow, that was a really fucking good movie. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, I heard it makes like Godzilla the bad guy again, because the last one I watched was the Ken Watanabe one. I can't remember the specific.
I haven't
name.
seen that. Was that the Kong one?
I think so. It was part of like the it was like the prelude before Kong, or tied in with it, or
I haven't seen that one yet.
Within the same universe, if you will, where Godzilla's the good guy and he protects humanity, and nothing wrong with that. But I don't know. It's like I also kind of grew up with like Godzilla was a bad guy. He just like kind of Shrek things.
And like this has sent me down the rabbit hole, like I did with the Kurosawa movies recently. So my brother-in-law came up again last weekend, and I was like, I want to watch another Godzilla movie because I really enjoyed -1. And he's like, let's get Shin Godzilla. I'm like, all right, that's from 2016.
Okay.
Another awesome Godzilla movie. This one, definitely the bad guy, but it really focuses on, again, it's kind of like a reboot-ish.
Okay.
Kind of showing the bureaucracy behind the scenes, like as it's unfolding. Like, the first videos appear online, and like, what do we do? What is this thing? And holy shit, just the look, like the graphical look. I mean, -1 might still be the best looking Godzilla, but the Shin Godzilla one looked amazing, and just the raw power of like the roar and the beams, like
nice.
Holy hell, dude! I'm like all in now. I'm like, well, I gotta catch up on all this other shit I missed. And yeah, I really, really had fun with Shin Godzilla and Godzilla -1. That Godzilla -1 especially, like if you're even remotely into it, you have to grab that one. That had a great story, and yeah, just really freaking good.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check it out then.
But all right, man. I think we're just about at the magic mark line.
Yeah, winding down.
We didn't. Oh, yeah. The other news, just so anybody listening, you're probably already watching at this point. But tomorrow, June 18th, we have a Nintendo Direct. I'm very excited to see what they have up their sleeve. Maybe we'll hear more about the new Switch. Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe.
But yeah, so we got that coming. But other than that, I think we'll get ready to wrap up episode 96. Yes, I didn't change the name on the upper left, so I was in a temporal confusion. Yes, episode 96. Great to be back again. Now, as long as I don't bust another knee, we should be
take out the other one.
Back to our every other week. Again, I apologize for the short hiatus, but it was not comfortable to get in the seat and actually record. But we'll just do some shout outs. Obviously, everybody listening, thanks for sticking with us. And if you have conflicting opinions, please call our voicemail line at 610-810-1654. We're wrong about Dragon Age, or what you really mean is why we're right. But no, I don't want to poo-poo on it too much. Obviously I want to hold out hope. I want it to blow us away, and I want to see BioWare get some of their swagger back. I don't think it's gonna happen. But yeah, shout out to everybody that stuck with us. Shout out to Chase and Blue and crew over at Geeks Gone Raw. I've really had a fun time getting into your podcast. I feel so bad. They've invited me on a few times, and just something has always come up. And unfortunately, I haven't gone on for an episode yet, but I will soon if they'll not be too pissed off at my crawling out shenanigans. But we'll see. And a big shout out to On Second Thought with Mike and Matt. I'm really enjoying their new show. Again, those are the boys from Bad Fodder Figures. Two of the boys from Bad Fodder Figures. I really just dig their show. It's a nice, chill listen. They talk games, they talk life, and it's just interesting. There are people around, Nick and my age, maybe actually probably a little older. Sorry, boys. But but their perspective is really cool, and they talk about some really neat shit. And they'll have like a different guest on, or just for totally different subjects. It's a lot of fun. And then I forgot last time, but I definitely want to give a shout out to our boy Los, a good friend of mine. Everybody knows Los in the podcast community. If you're listening to this, he's got his show, The Talking Place, and he does a really great podcast. He'll have a guest on, and it'll be about a certain subject. He got me into some weird shit. Book subscriptions. Have you fell down this rabbit hole yet?
No.
So there's these, almost like loot crates, but they're book crates. And it's usually like special edition of a new book. Like I guess the one that got him into it was that Fourth Wing, this new dragon fantasy book that's like a series that's supposed to be amazing. And it's a really fancy, hardcover, super nice collectible, and it's got feelies in the box, all that kind of cool shit. If you're into that, I'd love to. I'll pull the trigger on it, but again, where the hell am I gonna put books at this point? I've got 200 on my Kindle. If I actually had them in my office, it would be even more of a mess than it already is. But yeah, Los gets some really cool people on, myself included once in a while. And but he's got a great show. Go check out The Talking Place. Other than that, if you want to hang with us, like I said, call our voicemail line at 610-810-1654. We're always happy to bring it onto the show and let folks hear your opinions or something you're playing, and we'll talk about it ourselves. You can email us, theretrorents@gmail.com. I'm not really on Twitter much anymore unless Nick pings me, but I'm at RetroRentsAl. Nick is at Black Eagle Ops. And Twitch, also RetroRentsAl and Black Eagle Ops on Twitch as well. Go check out Nick's stream when he is streaming, and you can watch him be much better at Elden Ring than I am. And yeah, but that will wrap us up for episode 96. Thank you again, everybody, for coming by and hanging out. And until next time, have fun, play games, and don't be dicks.
Peace.
See ya.